I never thought I'd hack my own life to pieces, but when your best friend sells your soul for a corner office, you learn that revenge isn't a dish, it's a virus, spreading until nothing's left untouched. The boardroom door exploded inward under my boot, glass shards raining like confetti at a funeral, and there she was, Elena, my ride or die since Juilliard, perched on the CEO's lap, like she owned the goddamn skyline. I'd already wired the explosives, not the kind that blow up buildings, but the digital ones that could tank a Fortune 500 empire in seconds. And as her eyes met mine, wide with that fake-ass shock, I whispered the kill code. Family first, right? They say in New York, you can hear a pin drop in the chaos, but that night in the glass tower of Apex Dynamics, it was the silence after the servers screamed that echoed loudest. I'd been the invisible gear in their machine for 8 years. Paisley Hayes, the whiz kid from the Midwest who coded her way out of a trailer park and into a cubicle that smelled like stale ambition and burnt coffee. Replaceable, they called me in whispers during layoff drills. Paisley's got the magic touch with a mainframe, my boss would say, clapping me on the back like I was his golden retriever, but anyone can learn Python. Yeah, anyone. Until the day the system didn't just glitch, it hemorrhaged. It started with a merger. Apex was swallowing up a rival tech firm, some Silicon Valley upstart called Nexus Code, and Elena Vasquez was the golden girl they paraded in to seal the deal. We'd met freshman year at Juilliard, her a theater major with dreams of Broadway spotlights, me buried in the sound booth, tweaking algorithms for the light shows because even art needed a backbone of ones and zeros. She was fire and flair, all curves and confidence, the kind of Latina bombshell who turned heads in a room full of trust fund poets. I was the quiet one, freckles and frizzy hair, hiding behind hoodies and humor that cut just deep enough to keep people at arm's length. But we clicked like a perfectly synced track. Her monologues fed my code. My late-night hacks fueled her all-nighters scripting scenes. P, you're my anchor, she'd say, linking arms as we stumbled out of dive bars in the village, laughing about boys who ghosted and dreams that ghosted harder. By the time we both washed up in the corporate grind, she was climbing the ladder at Apex's marketing wing, schmoozing investors with pitches that made stock prices twitch. I was down in IT, the dungeon where the ASC hummed like a perpetual migraine, keeping the beasts alive. The merger was her big break, head of integration, they called it. This is it, Paisley. She squealed over FaceTime from her new loft in Chelsea, the camera angled just so to catch the skyline. We're gonna run this bitch. I smiled, ignoring the knot in my gut, because that's what sisters do. Lie for each other. The first crack came during the due diligence phase. Nexus had skeletons, patents they'd borrowed, algorithms poached from open source with a few proprietary tweaks to make M shine. Elena needed the full audit, the kind that digs into the marrow. P, you're the only one I trust, she texted at 2 a.m., followed by a voice note of her pacing, heels clicking on hardwood. If this leaks, the deal's dead. And so's my career. I pulled an all-nighter, cross-referencing codebases in a warren of terminals that felt like my veins. Buried in Nexus's core was a backdoor, a sloppy one, left by some ex-employee with a grudge. It wasn't just a hole, it was a highway for data thieves. One wrong poke and client records, bank accounts, health files, the dirty secrets of half the Fortune 100, would spill like confetti at a strip club. I flagged it to her privately. We gotta disclose, SEC's gonna have a field day otherwise. Her reply was a string of emojis. Champagne, locks, hearts. Handled. Just. Make it disappear for now. For us. Us. That word was our gospel. So I did what any fool in love with loyalty would. I patched it. Not clean, not forever, just enough to pass the sniff test. Buried the logs, rerouted the traces through a ghost server in Estonia. It was a felony wrapped in a favor, the kind that gets you disbarred from life if it unravels. But for Elena, I'd rewrite the Constitution. The merger closed on a Thursday in July, fireworks popping over the Hudson like God himself was toasting. Apex stock jumped 15%, bonuses flowed like the East River at high tide, and Elena got her corner office with a view that screamed, I made it. We celebrated at the Dead Rabbit, shots of Jameson chasing oysters on the half-shell, her arms slung around my shoulders as she whispered, "You saved my ass, P. I owe you eternal." I believed her. Hell, I quoted it back to myself on the subway rides home, when the what-ifs gnawed like rats in the walls. 2 weeks later, the system crashed. Not a hiccup, a full cardiac arrest. Servers in Jersey went dark, trading floors in Midtown froze mid-tick, and suddenly Apex was a ghost ship adrift in a sea of red alerts. Panic rippled up the chain, clients screaming about lost millions, regulators circling like sharks on chum. The C-suite locked down the 47th floor, suits sweating through their Brooks Brothers as they pointed fingers. And the finger? It landed square on me. "Paisley, what the fuck did you do?" My boss, Harlan, bellowed it over a glitchy Zoom from his Hamptons retreat, his face the color of overripe tomatoes. "The back door, it's yours. Logs show your IP, your timestamps." I stared at my screen, the world tilting like a bad render. My IP? I'd masked it 6 ways to Sunday. But there it was, timestamped in my workstation at 3:17 a.m. on the night of the patch. Elena's text blinked in my mind. Handled. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Nothing. By noon, security badges were deactivated, my inbox a graveyard of out-of-office replies. Harlan's assistant couriered my termination papers to my walk-up in Bushwick, pink slip with a side of NDA thicker than a Kardashian's memoir. Sabotage. The email subject read, "Effective immediately." They didn't wait for HR, they called the feds. 2 agents from the Manhattan field office showed up at my door by dusk, badges glinting under the sodium lamps, asking about intentional data breaches and corporate espionage. I lawyered up with a public defender who smelled like menthols and regret, but the evidence was ironclad. My code, my access, my mistake. Elena finally surfaced on day 3, a single text. "I'm so sorry, P. It wasn't supposed to go down like this. Protect yourself." Protect myself? From what, her? I paced my apartment, the walls closing in like a bad sim, replaying every late-night confab, every shared secret. That's when I dug deeper. Not with company gear, they'd locked me out, but with a shadow kit I'd built as a hobby, the one that danced on the dark web like a ghost in machine. Cracked her personal cloud first, voicemails from Apex execs, promises of promotions if she delivered the clean merge. Then emails to a fixer in Jersey, the kind who makes problems vanish for a retainer. Frame the IT girl. One read, "Paisley's loyal, won't fight back." Loyal. The word tasted like battery acid. She'd flipped the logs, routed them back to me like a boomerang of betrayal. Sold me out to climb higher, buried our us under a pile of stock options. And the back door? It wasn't Nexus's after all. It was Apex's, a deliberate plant from years back, when the company tested ethical hacks on their own systems. Harlan knew. The board knew. Elena knew, because she'd been fed the intel to integrate it seamlessly. She'd made me the fall guy for their dirty little insurance policy, a way to crash and rebuild, skimming federal bailouts under the guise of cyber attack recovery. Billions in play, and I was the disposable pawn. Rage isn't hot. It's cold, a frost that seeps into your bones and hardens everything. I sat at my kitchen table, a single bulb swinging like a noose, and mapped it out. Not vengeance for vengeance's sake, precision. I'd take them down, one line of code at a time, until their empire crumbled like wet sand. But first, I needed leverage. The kind that doesn't just hurt, it haunts. I started small. A whisper campaign on anonymous boards, Glassdoor ghosts, Reddit rants from former employees, spilling tea on Apex's shady merges. Nothing traceable, just enough to make investors twitch. Then I hit the dark pools, those underground trading forums where whales bet on blood. Leaked snippets of the real logs, redacted just enough to tease. Apex's golden merger? Built on a house of cards. One post read, attached to a screenshot of Elena's email chain. Views spiked, shorts piled on. Elena reached out again a week in, this time a call from a burner. "Paisley, stop. You're killing me here." Her voice cracked, that theater-honed tremor she used for curtain calls. I did it for us, for the life we talked about. Beach house in the Hamptons, scripts greenlit. No more scraping by. I laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Us? You mean you, with me as the body double. She sobbed then, promises tumbling out. I'll fix it. Come in, testify it was a glitch. I'll back you. Lies, all of it. But I played along. Fed her just enough rope. Meet me, I said. Neutral ground. The old spot. The old spot was McSorley's, that sawdust-floored relic in the East Village where we'd nursed hangovers with Dark and Stormies. She showed without the entourage, hair pulled back, no makeup, vulnerable, or so she thought. I slid into the booth across from her, nursing a ginger ale, my laptop bag heavy with ghosts. You look like shit, Elle. She reached for my hand. I let her, just long enough to slip a USB under the table. Everything's on there, I lied. Proof it was Harlan, not me. Her eyes lit like Christmas, snatching it up. Hook, line, sinker. What the drive really held was a Trojan, my masterpiece, a worm that burrowed into her devices, mirroring every keystroke, every call. I watched her that night from a van parked across from her loft, screens flickering as she plugged it in, frantic fingers flying. Thank you, P. She whispered to the empty room, already dialing her fixer. By dawn, I had it all, recordings of her haggling payoffs, texts plotting my disappearance if I talked. The betrayal wasn't just deep, it was a chasm, and I was done falling. But revenge needs teeth, and mine were dulling on the grind of survival. Unemployment checks barely covered the ramen, and the feds were circling closer, subpoenas stacking like unpaid bills. I couch-surfed with a coder buddy from the old hacker cons, crashing in his Astoria walk-up that reeked of weed and Red Bull. You're playing with fire, Pius, he warned, eyes bloodshot over his third monitor. Apex has lawyers that eat souls.
I shrugged, fingers dancing over keys.
Good thing I brought the salt. The plan crystallized over takeout lo mein. Hit them where it hurt, the board. Harlan's inner circle, those silver-haired sharks who'd greenlit the frame job. I doxed them subtly, seeding their personal emails with phishing lures disguised as merger updates. One click, and their calendars' contacts' dirty little Venmo trails spilled into my lap. Turns out, Harlan had a mistress in the suburbs, tuition payments to a kid who wasn't his wife's. The CFO? Offshore accounts funneled through crypto mixers, dodging taxes like a pro.
Elena?
She'd been skimming bonuses, funneling cash to an off-Broadway vanity project, a musical about underdog sisters. Ironic as hell. I held the cards, but playing them meant crossing lines I'd sworn never to touch.
Blackmail?
That's not justice. It's just the other side of the scam. But as the noose tightened, warrants looming, my name smeared in tabloids as the apex trader. Options shrank. I fired the first shot anonymously, a packet to the Wall Street Journal, redacted docs hinting at internal sabotage cover-ups. The story broke on a Tuesday, stock dipping 8% before lunch. Elena called again, hysterical. Paisley, it's you, isn't it? You're ruining everything. I hung up, heart pounding like a subwoofer. Ruining? Honey, I was just getting started. The city that never sleeps started snoring through Apex's nightmare, headlines blaring, tech titan in turmoil, merger mayhem or malfeasance, from the Post to the Times. I watched it unfold from a dive motel in Queens, the kind with hourly rates and walls thin enough to hear the couple next door scripting their own drama. My reflection in the cracked mirror showed a stranger. Bags under eyes like bruised peaches, hair hacked short with kitchen shears to dodge facial wreck Paisley haze, ghost in the machine, reduced to takeout wrappers and paranoia. Elena's worm was thriving, feeding me a banquet of betrayal. She was scrambling. That's how I knew I had her. Late-night calls to Harlan, voice pitched low. We pin it on the Nexus holdouts. Say they planted the backdoor pre-merger. Harlan's gravelly laugh. And the IT bitch? She's got friends in low places, hackers, journalists. Elena's pause, a beat too long. Handled. My guy's on it. My guy. As if I were a stray cat to be neutered. It burned, that casual erasure, but it fueled the fire. I traced her guy, a low-rent PI out of Flatbush with a rap sheet longer than a CVS receipt. Mickey Russo, ex-cop turned fixer, the kind who tailed cheating spouses and planted dime bags for leverage. I catfished him easy, a burner profile posing as a nervous exec. Need dirt on a whistleblower? I typed, attaching a blurry pic of myself from the company picnic. He bit hard, $5K for comprehensive neutralization, half up front via crypto. Neutralization. The word hung like smoke, acrid and promising. I paid, of course, not with cash, but with a favor from my Astoria pal, who owed me for pulling his ass out of a DDoS jam back in 22. We mirrored Russo's drop point, a locker and pen station that smelled like piss and pretzels. Inside, a thumb drive with evidence on me, forged chats, deepfake audio of me bragging about the crash.
Goo.
I swapped it with my own cocktail, malware keyed to his laptop, plus a side of his own sins. Turns out Mickey had a side hustle shaking down immigrants for green card tips. Blackmail's a bitch when it's your own noose. By week's end, Russo ghosted Elena, his inbox a void. She panicked, spiraling into voicemails I let ring out. Paisley, if it's you. We can talk. Sisters, remember? Sisters. The word twisted like a knife in butter. I remembered the night. She crashed on my couch after her dad deported, tequila tears soaking my pillow as she vowed, blood or not, your family. Family doesn't frame you for fraud, doesn't let feds raid your mom's trailer in Ohio looking for stolen servers.
Mom.
God. The call from her had gutted me deeper than any subpoena. Paisley girl, what's this about computers and jail? Her voice warbled over the line from Dayton, the hum of the factory in the background where she'd pulled doubles since Dad split. I'd lied, smooth as silk. Glitch at work, Ma. Nothing big. But she knew, mothers always do. Come home, she pleaded. We got space.
Space.
In that double wide with the leaky roof and her boyfriend's bud cans piling up.
No.
This wasn't just for me anymore. It was for every kid from the Rust Belt who'd clawed for a shot, only to get kicked in the teeth by the elite. I escalated. Hit Harlan next, the old bull who'd mentored me once. Coffee chats where he'd puff a cigarillo and spin yarns about bootstrapping Apex from a garage in '98. Stick with me, kid, he'd said, and you'll code your way to the top.
Top.
Like the penthouse he retreated to now, golfing in Boca while I dodged process servers. His fishing hook landed a fat one. Access to his home automation. I didn't brick the lights or flood the sprinklers, too petty. Instead, I queued a playlist for his next Zoom board meeting. Not Beethoven, but Elena's confession audio, looped with timestamps. Frame the IT girl. Paisley's loyal. The call dropped midstream, shares tanking another 5%. Chaos erupted, resignations rumored, SEC filings amended in a frenzy. Elena texted coordinates, a warehouse in Red Hook. Neutral, no bullshit. Trap? Maybe. But the worm in her phone pinged her location. Alone, pacing by the water, wind whipping her coat like a cape. I showed, hood up, burner in hand. You came, she breathed, eyes searching mine in the sodium glow. Up close, she looked wrecked, mascara tracks, lips chapped from biting back screams. Why, Elle? The words clawed out, raw as road rash. She crumpled against a crate, the East River lapping like judgment. It was survival. Harlan had me cornered, knew about the schemes, the play I funded. Said expose it all, or take the fall. Her hands twisted, rings glinting. You were safe. No family ties, no spotlight. I thought you'd bounce back. Bounce back. Like I was a rubber ball, not a person she'd gutted. I wanted to hate her clean, but cracks showed. The tremor in her voice, the way she clutched a locket, our Juilliard improv photo inside, faded but fierce. I covered for you once, I said, voice steady. That party in sophomore year, when you keyed the dean's beamer after he groped you. I hacked the cams, wiped the footage, took the blame, got probation. Her eyes widened, memory flooding. P.I. Don't. This is me keying your whole world. She lunged then, not attack, but embrace, sobbing into my shoulder. Fix it with me. We leak the real logs. Blame Harlan Solo. I get you reinstated. Bonus, whatever. The offer dangled, sweet as poisoned honey. Part of me, the old Paisley, the one who fixed code for friends, wavered. But the worm had one last feed, a fresh email from her to the board. Paisley's cracking. Use it to discredit. Flipping again mid-tears.
Cunning bitch.
I pushed her back, gentle but firm. Last chance, I'll walk away. Let it burn. She shook her head, defiant spark returning.
Can't.
Too deep.
But you.
You were my best shot at redemption. Redemption. The word hung, and I almost laughed. Instead, I slipped her a new drive, innocent on the surface, laced with a payload to mirror her calms to a dead drop. For old times, I said. She pocketed it, eyes pleading. Truce. Liar. As I melted into the night, Brooklyn Bridge lights mocking me across the water, the plan shifted. No more surgical strikes. Time for the kill shot. A full-spectrum breach. Apex's crown jewels, client data, trade secrets, drip-fed to the highest bidder on the dark web. Not for cash, for collapse. I'd auction it piecemeal, anonymous bids driving the price of their panic sky-high. But ethics nod. Innocence would pay. Employees pink-slipped, pensions gutted. Was I any better than them? Doubt crept in over the next days. Holed up in a sublet in Williamsburg, walls papered with printouts of their sins. Russo, the PI, cracked under my pressure, flipped, spilling to a podcaster about corporate hits. The episode went viral, Apex Gate trending, protesters chaining themselves to the tower's doors chanting code for the coders. Elena's face splashed everywhere, the integration queen turned suspect. She went dark, worm silent. Harlan lawyered up, vanishing to a sabbatical in the Caymans. I hit the auction floor, heart hammering as bids climbed, 6 figures for a sliver of PEI, 7 for the algo patents. Each ping felt like a betrayal of my own code. Do no harm. But harm had been done to me, a mountain of it. Mom called again, voice steel. Saw the news, girl. Proud of you, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. The words armored me. Then the twist. A bitter unmasked itself, not a ghost, but the feds. Honeypot. They'd baited me, tracing the drops through blockchain echoes I'd missed in my haste. Sirens wailed in my dream that night, cuffs cold on wrists. Wake up was a knock, real, insistent. Not cops, Elena, disheveled at the door, a bottle of Jameson dangling. Truce for real, she slurred. Harlan's out. Board wants a deal. Your silence for immunity. Her eyes, bloodshot but bright. We win together. I let her in, the worm confirming. No tails, no wires. As she poured shots, rambling about reinvention. A podcast, us spilling the tea. I saw the play. One last flip. The drive I'd given her in Red Hook? It wasn't just a mirror. It was a bomb, set to detonate on her next board login. But now, with her here vulnerable, I could accelerate. To us, I toasted, clinking glasses. She drank deep, unaware the payload was already live in her phone, syncing to Harlan's servers via her biometrics. We talked till dawn, ghosts of Juilliard dancing in the lamplight, failed auditions, first loves, the pact to always have each other's backs. Lies layered on lies, but in the haze, I almost believed. Almost. As she dozed on the couch, I cued the final sequence, a cascade failure, Apex's entire network folding like origami in a hurricane. Stocks to zero, data to dust, the empire's veins severed. But mercy flickered. I added a carve-out, her files, scrubbed clean. Let her swim while they sank. Sisterhood. Twisted as it was. The clock ticked to activation, and I hit enter, the screen blooming red. Alarms blared distant, a symphony of downfall. Elena stirred, eyes fluttering open. Paisley? Accusation, then understanding. You. She bolted, grabbing her coat, but it was too late. The worm purred. Breach confirmed. I slipped out the fire escape as dawn broke, the city yawning awake to apocalypse. Harlan's jet grounded, Elena's name in cuffs, the boards scattering like roaches.
Me?
A shadow, bound for the heartland, Mom's double-wide waiting. But freedom tasted like ash, victory hollow when built on the same wrought-eyed railed against. The Greyhound to Dayton was a rolling confessional, vinyl seats cracked like old skin, the hum of tires on I-80 a dirge for the life I torched. I stared out at the blur of billboards, golden arches mocking my empty gut, truck stops promising, hot coffee ahead, and replayed the cascade in my head. Apex's feeds went dark at 6:47 a.m., a digital blackout that rippled from Wall Street to Westminster. By noon, CNBC looped helicopter shots of the tower, protesters swelling to a mob, signs scrawled with "Justice for Paisley."
How?
I'd been a ghost, untraceable. But New York has long memories and longer arms. The feds caught my scent at the Port Authority, 2 suits and off-the-rack Navy flashing badges like holy cards. Ms. Hayes? A word. Not a request. They bundled me into an unmarked sedan, the kind with tinted windows and that new car smell masking stale donuts. Interrogation at 26 Fed, fluorescent hell where the coffee was sludge and the question sharper. We know about the worm, Paisley. Elena's device, your signature all over it. I stonewalled, palms slick on the table, but they had logs, timestamps syncing to my sublet's IP.
Sloppy.
I'd cut corners chasing the high of payback. Lead agent was a woman, mid-40s, salt and pepper bun, and eyes like chipped flint. Agent Reyes, badge set. You're not the villain here. She leaned in, voice low. We clocked the frame job months back. Harlan's been on our radar. RICO violations the works. Off the record, she slid a folder. Apex's black book, payoffs to senators, rigged bids on DoD contracts. My patch. It had exposed a vein, not plugged it. Help us nail him, she said. Testify, and the breach charges vanish. Plea on the tampering, probation at worst.
Tempting.
Clean slate, maybe even a book deal. The codebreaker's revenge. Oprah's couch waiting. But trust? Burned out with Elena. What's the catch? Reyes smiled, thin as a razor.
Elena.
She's singing everything, including you covering her ass on that back door.
Singing.
The word soured. So the truce was tissue, her tears a script for the biggest role. Informant. I took the deal, because what choice? The bus to Mom's idled in my mind, but freedom's a relative term when you're wired for a wire. Released on my own recognizance, ankle monitor beeping like a guilty conscience, I holed up in a safe house in Jersey, government-subsidized limbo with cable and counseling sessions that felt like group therapy for squirrels. Days blurred. Depositions where I spilled the merge guts, Harlan's leers recapped for stone-faced prosecutors. Nights, the worm's echoes haunted. Elena's last ping before shutdown, a frantic text to me, unsent. Forgive me? We were dreamers. Dreamers. Yeah, until the American dream turned carnivorous. Apex crumbled spectacular. Chapter 11 by week's end, Harlan extradited from the Caymans in cuffs, snarling at cameras like a cornered fox. The board scattered, some to ashrams in Bali, others to plea bargains that bought silence.
Elena?
She lawyered up in a penthouse cell block, trading testimony for a reduced sentence, 5 years, federal country club with yoga and visitors. Betrayal for breakfast, the tabloids quipped, her Juilliard headshot airbrushed to hell. I visited once, against Rhea's advice. The room smelled of bleach and regret, plexiglass between us like a cold shoulder. She looked smaller, orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame, hair a limp curtain. Paisley, she breathed, receiver trembling. You came. I nodded, throat tight. Had to see if the mask was off. Her laugh cracked bitter. Masks. We're all wearing them. I flipped because.
Fear.
Harlan had photos, me and the CFO, indiscretions. Said he'd bury me if I didn't deliver. Excuses, but her eyes raw, stripped, almost sold it. Tell me the truth, I pressed. the back door. Apexes or Nexus? She glanced at the guard, then leaned close. Both. Harlan planted it years ago, test for resilience. Nexus found it, tried to leverage.
I chose si drôle. Chose.
Like it was a spin class, not a soul cell. And me. Her whisper. Collateral. But I loved you, P. Like a sister.
Loved.
Past tense. I hung up, the click final as a server shut down. Back in Jersey, doubt festered. Reyes pushed for more. Go public, Paisley. Your story buries them deeper.
Public.
The word conjured spotlights, not the sound booth shadows I'd thrived in. But Mom called, voice fierce over the line. Girl, you got a gift. Use it. Make M pay, not just in court.
Pay.
The monitor itched. A reminder of chains traded. I inked a ghostwriter, started spilling, not for catharsis, but calculus. The book deal came quick, advance enough for Mom's roof fix and a down payment on normalcy. Launch was a circus. Union Square bookstore packed with tech bros and activists. Elena's face on protest tees hawking sisters in code, not crime. I read the hook chapter. The boardroom boot-in, the kill code whisper, and the crowd erupted, cheers laced with fuck Apex. Chance. QA turned melee. Was it worth it? A kid in a hoodie asked. Worth it? The question lodged like shrapnel. Nights after, I'd wake sweating, dreams of cascading code morphing to cascades of blood, innocent layoffs, suicides in the C-suite shadows. Twist came mid-tour, Des Moines leg. Backstage, envelope, no return, just truth serum, scrawled in Sharpie. Inside, USB, handwritten note. You didn't bury it all. Plugged it in a burner laptop, heart jackhammering. Files bloomed, not Apex's but mine. Juilliard-era security footage I'd wiped, but backups survived. Me, not just covering Elena's key job, but spiking the dean's drink that night, lacing it with roofies from a frat party stash. Blackout blurry, but clear enough, I held her down after, whispering for your own good, as she thrashed. No grope from the dean. She'd fabricated it, drunk on rage and vodka, and I'd helped. Erased it all, took the probation hit solo because guilt gnawed deeper than loyalty. The secret I'd buried wasn't Apex's, it was mine. A crime of complicity, a mistake I'd shouldered to keep us pristine. Elena knew, of course. That's why she chose me for the frame. Collateral, she'd said. Turns out, we were both monsters, mirrors in the madness. I confronted Reyes, drive trembling in my fist. This changes nothing, she said, eyes narrowing. Statutes run. Focus on Harlan. But it changed everything. The book tore blurred to a haze. Readings wrote as I scripted smiles over the rot. Fans hail me hero. I felt fraud. Elena wrote from lockup, letters smuggled via her lawyer, pages of purple prose. We were victims of the system. P. Forgive us both.
Us.
Still clinging. Harlan's trial hit fever pitch. Manhattan courtroom, a gladiator pit with laptops for swords. I testified, voice steady as I unpacked the merge, the patch, the worm. His cross-exam was a slaughter. Silver fox in a Tom Ford suit, lawyer a shark named Vanderbilt, who painted me vigilante. Ms. Hayes, isn't it true you breached ethics for personal gain?
Gain?
The word hung. I glanced at Elena in the gallery. Spectator now, her nod subtle. Encouragement? Warning? Jury deliberated 3 days, city holding breath. Verdict, guilty on all counts, Harlan to 25, to life, no parole. Cheers erupted, me swept in hugs from strangers, activists, coders, the underdogs I'd unwittingly crowned. But as flashbulbs popped, Elena slipped me a note in the crush. Twists on you. Check the dailies. That night, hotel room in Midtown, TV flickered to breaking. Apex Traders dark past, Juilliard assault cover-up. Leaks from the USB, twisted. Me the aggressor, Elena the victim. Public flipped overnight. Paisley predator trending, book yanked from shelves, deals dissolved. Reyes called. Deepfake? Harlan's last gasp.
No.
Elena's. Her final flip, trading my sins for sympathy, a plea reduction whispered in the wings. Rage reignited, but colder now, tempered by truth. I wasn't the betrayed saint. I was the architect of my own fall, building walls of code around cracks in my soul. Mom wired bus fare. Come home, baby. We fix roofs together. Home. The word pulled, a gravity well. But New York clung, the tower's ghost haunting my dreams. One last play. I hacked the leak source, Elena's lawyer, fat fees from Harlan's slush fund. Exposed it all, full files dumped to WikiLeaks. Our Juilliard sins unvarnished. No heroes, just humans, flawed, furious, forgiven maybe in the fallout. Public discourse detonated, forums fractured. Who's the real villain? Threads spawning think pieces in the Atlantic. Elena's sentence bumped to 10, her victim, narrative shredded.
Me?
Cleared, but scarred, probation lifted, but trust a casualty. I boarded the bus at dawn, skyline shrinking in the rearview. Revenge? A loop, endless as code. But closure? That was the hack I'd never crack. Dayton welcomed me with open arms and closed factories, the skyline a stub of smokestacks against a sky the color of faded denim. Mom's double-wide squatted on the edge of town, aluminum siding patched with duct tape, the yard a jungle of dandelions and rusted swing sets. She hugged me fierce on the stoop, flour-dusted apron smelling of biscuits and unconditional, her boyfriend Hank grunting hellos from the lazy boy with a beer in paw. Paisley girl, she murmured, cupping my face. You look like you coded through hell. Close enough. Life downshifted to a crawl, gears grinding from gigabit to dial-up. I crashed in the back room, twin bed creaking under me like judgment, walls papered in my old science fair ribbons, blue for the robot that sorted recyclables, participation for the volcano that fizzled. Mornings, Mom dragged me to the community center, volunteering at the food pantry where Rust Belt relics swapped stories over canned peaches. Tech world's a circus. Old Mr. Kowalski wheezed, dentures clicking. But family? That's the real net.
Net.
I nodded, but the word netted nothing. Emails from publishers ghosted, job apps vanishing into HR voids labeled ethics concerns. Nights were worse, insomnia's grip iron as I scrolled dark web echoes, Apex's carcass picked clean by vultures. Harlan rotted in Otisville, appeals denied, his memoir a self-pub flop hawking lessons in leadership from a cell block PayPal.
Elena?
She lawyered her way to a halfway house in Philly, rehab for stress-induced kleptomania, the tabloids snarking about theater majors' encore, stealing sympathy. Her letters kept coming, forwarded by Mom with a TSK. Burn or frame, honey. Your call. I burned most, but one stuck, the confessional, pages of looping script. I flipped because I saw myself in you. P, the climber, the coder of escapes. Forgive? Or finish it? Finish it. The temptation itched like a phantom limb. I'd gutted their empire. But the personal? Still bleeding. Reyes checked in monthly, burner to burner. Off the grid suits you. Harlan's co-defendants flipping like pancakes, your testimony sealed it.
Sealed.
As if scars duct-taped over. She hinted at consulting gigs, Fed cybersecurity, ironic badge of honor. Redemption arc haze. Write it.
Write it.
The book deal's corpse-haunted, but I pecked at a blog, anonymous posts on a site called Glitch Ghosts, rants on corporate cannibalism, laced with code snippets for the DIY Avengers. Hank warmed slow, the gruff vet type with tattoos fading like regrets, sharing war stories over checkers on the porch. Revenge is a MRE. Paisley, cold, chewy, leaves you hungry. Wise. In his Budweiser way. Mom beamed when I fixed her ancient PC, installing ad blockers against the pharma pop-ups hawking pills for everything but betrayal. My girl's a wizard. She'd crow to neighbors, barbecue smoke curling like secrets. Neighbors. The Wilsons next door, with their kid Theo, a gangly teen with braces and a drone obsession. He cornered me one dusk, eyes wide. Saw you on TV. That hack. Teach me? I ruffled his hair, dodging. Hack your homework first, kid. But the past pinged persistent, a glitch in the matrix. A package arrived unmarked. Juilliard swag, a yearbook dog-eared to our improv page, photo of us mid-scene, Elena belting a soliloquy, me at the board scribbling cues. Tucked inside, a thumb drive, labeled our script. Plugged it in Mom's rig, antivirus beeping warnings I ignored. Scenes unfolded, not footage, but a treatment. Elena's tell-all, scripted as a Netflix pitch. Me as the anti-hero, the betrayed brainiac turned Black Hat Avenger. Her as the flawed femme fatale seeking absolution. Twist. Our Juilliard night reframed. Not assault, but mutual exploration gone awry. Blame diffused like fog. Fury flared, hot and holy. She'd monetized our mess, pitching it to streamers while I scraped by on odd jobs, tutoring code at the library, gig economy grinds delivering DoorDash in a rust-eaten Civic. I called Reyes voice venom. Elena's at it again. She sighed. Static crackling. Tracked it. She's clean legally. Art imitates life, haze.
Art.
As if betrayal were brushstrokes, not butcher knives. I drove to Philly unannounced, the turnpike a ribbon of regret under rain-slick wipers. Halfway house was a squat brick bunker off Broad Street, buzzer admitting me to a lobby that smelled of Lysol and longing. Elena buzzed down, changed, hair in a sleek bob, blouse crisp, the jumpsuit a memory. Paisley. No tremble, just surprise laced with script. We sat in a visitor's lounge, plastic chairs and bending hum, her crossing legs like a boardroom pro. The treatment, I started no preamble. Classy. Her smile, that old Juilliard dazzle. Therapy homework. Channeling the chaos. Channeling. You mean cashing in on my pain? She leaned forward, eyes locking. Our pain. It's cathartic. P. We were dreamers, remember the pact? Turn trauma to triumph. Triumph. The word mocked. You flip the script then, flipping now. Victim or villain? Her pause, a beat for effect.
Both.
Like you. The admission hung a hook I almost swallowed. We talked then, real talk, hours bleeding into dusk, guards eyeing us wary. She owned the frame, Harlan's pressure cooker. But I chose you because envy. You built worlds in code. I chased spotlights that burned.
Envy.
The great equalizer. I shared my cracks, the Juilliard blackout, guilt's weight like wet code. I covered because I broke you first. Her hand on the glass, mine mirroring. Broke? We shattered together. Truce? Maybe. She slipped me a contact, a producer who'd bitten on the pitch, but only if you're in.
In.
The offer dangled, co-write, co-produce, our story sanitized for screens. Revenge as redemption, controversial as a cable drama. I drove back under stars, turnpike tolls ticking like choices. Mom waited with pie, apple from the church orchard.
Well.
Hank grunted, dealing checkers. I shrugged, slice steaming. Complicated. The blog took off quiet. Glitch ghosts drawing misfits, coders burned by big tech, artists ghosted by agents. Comments piled. You're a legend, Pious. Don't let her steal your narrative. Narrative. Elena's pitch hit my inbox days later, PDF gleaming. Sisters in the System, starring TBD as Paisley. I forwarded to my ghost from the book days, now freelancing for Variety. Leak it, I typed. Let the discourse devour. Internet ignited. Sisters scam trending. Elena's halfway house hounded by paparazzi. Producer dropping like a bad stock. She called collect, voice frayed. Why? Truth. Because flipping hurts both ways. Reyes laughed when I told her. Poetic justice. Harlan's appeal just tanked. Your blog's exhibit A. Justice. Cold comfort. Theo cornered me again. Drone buzzing overhead. Teach me to code a virus? I knelt, confiscating the controller. Code a bridge, kid. Connect, don't corrupt. He pouted but nodded. Mom watched from the porch, eyes proud.
Healing.
I joined her, rocking chair creaking, glitching. Fall turned crisp, leaves like confetti underfoot. A job offer pinged, From a Dayton startup, ethical AI for nonprofits. No towers, no betrayals, just code for good. I accepted. Corner office swapped for a co-working nook smelling of craft beer and collaboration. Elena's letters shifted. Not please, but pages, scenes from the treatment unfiltered. Rewrite with me? One read. I did, mailing back edits. More gray, less gloss. No heroes, just humans hacking through the hurt. Harlan died in custody. Heart attack. Official. Karma. Street. News cycled quick, his obit a footnote. Elena got paroled early. Model inmate. Heading to LA for Pilates instruction. Last letter. Spotlight's lonely. Miss our shadows. Shadows. I burned it, but kept the ash, reminder. Thanksgiving, Mom's table groaned under turkey and tails, Hank carving with steady hand. Theo across, chattering code. I raised a glass, cranberry spritz, sober since the worm. To glitches. Laughter rippled. But under, the code hummed, revenge's echo, faint but fierce. Was it worth it? The question Theo asked, eyes earnest over pie. I paused, fork midway.
Depends.
You get the win but lose the why. He nodded, wise beyond braces. Mom squeezed my knee. Wise family girl. We reckoed. Night fell soft, stars pricking the rust belt dark. I stepped out, phone buzzing, Reyes. New case. Your type. Temptation tugged. But I silenced it, breathing deep. The systems crash taut. Some viruses cure, some kill.
Me?
Still debugging. Winter clamped Dayton in ice, streets slick as lies, the double-wides heat kicking like a stubborn mule. The startup gig steadied me. Nights debugging algorithms for food bank logistics, days mentoring misfits in the co-working hive that buzzed like a benevolent mainframe. No corner offices, just folding tables and whiteboards scrawled with iterate or die. Theo tagged along sometimes, his drone grounded for a laptop, fingers fumbling Python like a kid with keys. Aunt Pious, he called me now, braces glinting. Show me the worm. I'd laugh, steering to loops instead. Worms eat, loops learn. Elena's shadows stretched long, though. Parole photos hit TMZ, her at LAX, oversized shades and a smile practiced for paparazzi. Caption. From frame to fame. Vasquez's Hollywood pivot. Pilates? Cover for editions, Whispers said. A role in some streamer about tech whistleblowers. Irony thicker than Ohio snow. Her emails pinged sporadic. Landed a callback. Wish she were scripting. I ghosted most, but one attached a script page. Our boardroom showdown. Me as the furious phantom. Your voice, she wrote. Fierce.
Fierce.
The word warmed, treacherous. Reyes' new case loomed, a siren call. Coffee meet in a Cincy diner, Formica tables sticky with syrup ghosts. She slid a dossier. Quantum breach at a DC think tank. Smells like Apex 2.0. Insider frame, buried backdoor. My gut twisted, old code itching. Why me? Her flint eyes softened fraction. You see the flips.
And.
Redemption. Redemption. I flipped the file shut. Send the specs.
No promises.
Back home, Mom's intuition radar pinged over meatloaf. Feds again? I nodded, forking peas. Hank grunted approval. Shoot straight, but sleep sound.
Sound.
Nights blurred to all-nighters. Dossier open on my screen, tracing threads to a senator's slush fund. Echoes of Harlan's playbook. The mark? A sysadmin named Kira, Midwest transplant like me, framed for a leak that smelled staged. Loyalty tugged, revenge whispered. Burn it down. I reached out anonymous, a dark web drop. You're not alone. Her reply frantic. Who? Built trust slow, tips on masking logs, pointers to Apex precedents. Kira flipped the script herself, leaking the real culprit. Her boss, a Vance-type climber with capital connections. Feds swarmed, Reyes texting thumbs up. Clean win. Oh, you.
Oh.
The ledger balanced, lighter. Spring thawed the rust, cherry blossoms mocking the monochrome. Theo's school project, A drone mapper for flood zones, one regional, my code the backbone. At the fair, amid funnel cakes and Ferris groans, he hugged awkward. You're my hacker hero.
Hero.
The label chafed, but fit looser now. Elena's callback cracked wide. Lead in Shadow Servers, a limited series greenlit by a streamer hungry for controversy. She zoomed uninvited, face filling my laptop like a ghost in the feed. LA's sun gilding her. Backdrop a palm-fringed balcony. Paisley, read the pilot. I hadn't, but bluffed. Her pitch tumbled. It's us, Betrayal, Comeback, The Gray Grind. Co-produce? Your tech seals it. Tempting, the alchemy of art for MASH. What's the endgame? She leaned close, pixels softening.
Twist, no winners.
We both rise, scarred. Scarred. I mulled it over beers with Hank on the porch, fireflies winking like errant cursors. Pass the boomerang, he drawled, cracking a bud. Let it fly back, or dodge forever?
Dodge.
But Mom, eavesdropping from the kitchen window, chimed, Fly with it, girl. Turn the blade to butter. I signed on, caveat. Full disclosure. The writer's room was virtual hell. LA execs in hoodies zooming from poolsides, me in flannel from Dayton, hashing scenes that split the table. Make Paisley darker. One suit urged. Viewers love anti-heroes. Elena mediated, her theater chops a shield. She's real. Let her breathe.
Breathe.
In revisions, our Juilliard night woven, not assault, but a fever dream of young fury, consent a blur both owned. Controversial as hell, dailies leaking to spark, is it empowering or exploitative? Threads on every platform. Climax scripted the boardroom boot-in, but twisted. I whisper the code, servers crash, but Elena's already flipped, fed intel to the feds, saving the company for a clean rebuild. No clear villain, readers, viewers, forced to pick sides. She betrayed for the greater good. Elena argued in notes. Or sold out again. I countered. The director loved it. Puts asses in seats, debate fuel. Wrap on the twist. Post-crash, we meet in shadows, not enemies, but echoes. Family first. I ask. Her reply. Codes rewritable. Fade to black, ambiguous as a prompt. Post-prod, Elena flew in first class to Dayton Airport, hugging Mom like kin. We walked the river trail, Ohio's current lazy under willows. Missed this, she said, linking arms. Missed. The word bridged, tentative. Launch premiered at TIFF, red carpet a circus of flash and whispers.
I stood beside her, trift store galn against her Versace, freckles bare under lights.
Critics panned and praised. A taut thriller that asks, is revenge recursion? Box office boomed, discourse detonating, forums fracturing on Elena's redemption arc. Earned or earned?
Me?
Panel circuit, dodging TEDx invites, spilling to podcasters. No one's all right. That's the hack. Back in Dayton, the double-wide felt vast, Mom's pious staple. Theo aced AP Comp Sci, dedicating his valedictorian nod to Aunt Pius, who taught me bugs make better code. Hank raised a toast at grad party. To glitches, proof we're alive.
Alive.
The word settled. Elena's last visit, summer sticky. We scripted a sequel over iced tea on the porch. Vague outlines of new betrayals, old scars. Happy? She asked, eyes searching. I shrugged. Breeze, rifling leaves.
B.
Tragics in the try. She laughed. That old Juilliard bell. As she drove off, taillights fading to fireflies, Reyes texted. Another breach. You in? I deleted, pocketing the phone. Night fell, stars a cascade uncrashing. Revenge? A loop I'd escaped, or so I coded it. The system's vast, but so's the self, endless debug, infinite grace. Mom called from the kitchen. Bedtime wizard. I rose, porch light humming farewell. Tomorrow more lines, less lies. The story? Ours unfinished, debate eternal, as it should be. In the end, no one's replaceable, not even in the crash.